Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today's project is to take down the climbing rose that's on this obelisk. I planted this rose on this obelisk, I think 3 years ago, and it grew really well. This is a huge cane. See how big this cane is? It's like an inch in diameter or more. And it's got several other canes coming along. The problem with it is that it was so tall and rangy. It went way above this 8-foot tall obelisk. It went up to probably 10 or 12 feet tall. So I've already cut back all of the canes to at least 4 or 5 feet tall. You can see my debris down here. This is the stuff I've already cut off. So now I'm going to be trimming it down further, all the way down to probably 18 inches maybe, and then I'll be digging it out and transplanting it to a more sunny site where it can ramble along a fence. Climbing roses do better if you let the canes go up and then horizontal, because then on the horizontal canes they'll send out little spurs, and those spurs are where the flowers come. So if you have a tall, long cane climbing rose, it really wants to be on a place where it can go up a little bit and then horizontally. And this obelisk, I thought I'd be able to wind it around in a spiral, but it just turns out that rose canes are too weak to be able to do that. And so I'm going to find a spot for this rose where it can be on a fence and go out horizontally from the center of the fence. So the first thing I got to do is trim down all of these canes. So as I said, I've already trimmed down to about 3 or 4 feet each of them, but I want to take the whole plant down way down into more of a 18 inches range, which would be somewhere around the top of this cane right here. I know this is going to survive. It's going to send out another cane from here, from there, and if I cut these all the way down to the crown, then they might even send up new roots from there. Of course, I mean new canes, not new roots. This rose is Cancan rose. It's from heirloomroses.com, and it is grown on its own roots. So if new canes come up from the bottom, we know they are Cancan. They're not the rootstock that a grafted rose might send up. So I am not an expert on rose care. Please don't take what I'm doing as the best way to do something. But what I'm going to do is just cut it down and cut everything off that's smaller than a pencil and cut it to about 18 inches tall, and then dig it out and transplant it over to another section of the garden. Now, Cancan thorns are huge. These are at least a ½ inch long, maybe even longer. And in fact, these thorns are so old that some of them have split apart and started to fall off. I'm just going to do this for a minute so that when I deal with this cane later, it's not really hurting me. I do have leather gloves on, and that's helpful as well. Let's get the worst of these pokey bits off. I'm going to try to prune all of them about to this height right here. I'm going to take off anything smaller than a pencil, so that means this one's coming off, this one, this one, this one, and I'm going to make my cut right there and right there. That comes off. Everything smaller than a pencil in diameter is coming off of this plant. These branches are twisted around each other. Let's see if I can untwist them. There we go. That's better. I'm gonna keep only one of these. I'm gonna take this one off because it's the one that's crowding the other. Okay, and so now I have this one back here too. There we go. All right, now I need to get this big one off about right there. All right, so here's the crown. These are 1, 2, 3, 4 canes coming off. I think actually I'm going to take this one off as well, since it's much weaker. Well, let me see. think I will leave these 2 on. So I'm going to have 4 canes that I transplant. Now I have feverfew here. I have wild strawberries, which I don't want here. And then up front here, I have some Nepeta, cat's pajamas Nepeta. So I want to try to dig this out without disturbing too much of the plants that are in here. Come about 1 foot away from the crown and see if I can get a nice big set of roots. I know I'm going to have to break the roots and cut through them. I'm hoping to get about 1 foot long section of roots all around the plant. All right, here we go. You can see how I planted it on a mound originally, and the roots spread out from there. So now that's pretty good looking. I'm going to probably trim this up a little bit. It does have some fine roots and some stronger, more established roots. And now I'm going to take this over and dig a hole for it and plant it in its new location. This might not be the most likely area that you thought I might put this rose, but I'm going to put it on this brown fence right off of our driveway on that pole just opposite of that blue point juniper. So let me see if I can get up here. About right here. Now this location I think is going to work out really well. In the summertime, at the height of the summer, this stretch of fence gets really hot, really direct afternoon sun. It kind of bakes up here. So I think it will be able to get a lot of really bright light. As the sun goes over the house in the summer, this becomes shade around about 2 o'clock. But in the morning, it's dappled shade while the trees are blocking the sun from this side. Sun comes up over here and goes down over there. So this is going to get really hot, bright midday sun with dappled sun in the morning and shade after about 2 o'clock. I think it'll do just as well here as it did down in the lower patio garden, because down there it's dappled shade all day. It doesn't get any full sun. And it was really vigorous. So I'm going to dig my hole here. I'm going to use my biotone starter fertilizer to get it off to a good start. I'm going to make sure I keep this watered, which is a big deal on this hill because all the water runs off of it. So I'm going to end up putting drip irrigation on here and make sure that it stays moist while it gets reestablished in its new hole. Once the canes start to grow, I'll take the flexible canes and I'll train them across the fence this way and that way. And hopefully in a year or two's time, we'll have a beautiful climbing rose on this side of the fence. Again, this is Cancan rose, and they have a really beautiful carmine red color, just the most beautiful color of red. So next I'm just going to dig my hole. I'm going to dig it plenty wide and plenty deep to cover up all of these roots and not have to bend them out of shape or anything like that. Now I do have some plants in here that I want to kind of keep, including these are some spring flowering bulbs. These are, I believe, wood hyacinths. I've got forget-me-nots in here. I have a lot of chickweed in here that can come out. I've got some spiderwort in here, violets. So there are some nice things in here, natives and ephemerals. But nothing is so special that if it gets tossed or gets hurt in this planting process, it'll be okay. The rose is definitely the priority here. Let me get my hole dug. I'm going to set you over here, little guy, while I make your hole. Feel a little bit like a mountain goat right now. I need to make my hole just a little bit bigger so all those roots can fit in there nicely. And I'm going to lean it back toward the fence just a little bit to make it easier to train later. And backfill and make sure I'm filling in all these holes in here. do my best to make a little bit of a ring here to try to hold some water in this hole when I water it. I don't imagine I'll be terribly successful with that. I'm going to try, and also I'm going to try to get some of this chickweed out of here. Well, friends, that about does it for this video. It's pretty simple, just digging up a rose and moving it to a new spot. I am not a rose expert, as I said earlier, so I'm just using the best practices that I've remembered from the different videos and books and classes that I've taken. So I'm hoping that if I keep this evenly moist, not too wet and not too dry, and take good care of it, then I hope we'll have a beautiful climbing rose on this fence in the future. Thanks for joining, and I hope to see you again in another video real soon, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.